went wrong. Breaking down each game so strong. Fans united, feel the beat. Fins talk family, can't be beat. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby talking about the Fins. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today. Fins up, we ride until the end with Bobby talking about the Fins. Podcast popping every week, no delay. Join the crew, Fins talk today.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to another edition of Fins Talk today here on FTSN. I'm Bobby Fins Talk, joined by my special guest co-host for today, FinStanza. Good day, FinStanza. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've already had like a full day. I was out from 8 a.m. to 11, running around, doing the errands, so I could be here for noon. I'm happy to be here. I hope I'm here more regularly.
Yeah, I appreciate you hopping on, my brother. Man, first off, today we just talked about it a little bit, but today is a damn good day. First of all, we're gonna talk about the Dolphins. Dolphins are 0-3, but how about them Canes?
Oh, yeah.
Big game today against Florida. I'm excited about that. You were just watching College Game Day. What a year for college football in general.
It's been phenomenal. It's been like, even if you're not a big college football fan, watching the game between Tennessee and Georgia last week, even if you're not those fans, like you live out in Franklin, just outside that, the volunteers, the passion they have there where you live, and like you saw the look on the people's faces. That's what we feel every Sunday. College football is something different. If no one's ever had the chance to go to a college football game, I had the opportunity many moons ago. I haven't been in a long time. I went to College Park, Maryland. I went to see a Maryland game, and it's unbelievable. The experience, the weekend you leading up to it, and not to have College Game Day in Miami, for Miami to be in prime time this way, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to show off that.
I love that,
when they're
Miami loses Cam Ward, but they get Carson Beck, and there's a lot of questions on Carson Beck. Are you going to see the same Carson Beck from Georgia? Is he going to be better? Is he going to be whatever? And so far, as advertised, even better. And then Miami's team in general. You brought up Malachi Toney before the show. He's just special. Ruben Bain. And shout out to the Caneswear podcast. Brett, Gio, Mondo, of course, Caneswear. Uncle Cliff, everyone there. And then, of course, Rainy Day Pod with Will Patrone of 305 Sports Now and Q, the I Hate Football podcast. All Miami Hurricanes guys there, but the Caneswear podcast, those guys were on it, man. They're on for like 2.5, 3 hours. They're your type of crew, Evan. They could go all night.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting, Bobby?
What's that?
About the Dolphins. It's interesting that, and that's something we'll talk about, which leads into the Dolphins. When you saw the Panthers doing well, the incorporation of other sports going to Panthers games, you're seeing Heat players, you're seeing Dolphin players. You see today, Matthew Tkachuk. When's the last time you would ever think that a Florida Panther player would be on College Game Day, right? Because of relevancy, right? That's the frustration we have as Dolphin fans, is that the Hurricanes have been relevant since they brought Cristobal in the last 2 years, between Cam Ward, now Carson Beck, and the development of this team. Then you look now at the Panthers, bringing in Paul Maurice and the development. You saw at one point over the years with Eric Spoelstra. There have been moments with the Marlins, but Marlins is because it's baseball and it's weird in the state of Florida, whether you go Tampa or Miami. But when they wanted to win, they put it. It's unfortunate that we're going to talk about the Dolphins. The Dolphins need to look at what all the other franchises do, because if you really think about it, the most passionate fan base in all of Florida, in South Florida, is the Dolphins, but they're at the bottom. They're at the bottom of the ring right now.
No, that's a great point. And, for today's show, we're going to talk about all the latest news, rumors, everything that's going on with Miami. We're going to talk about the loss, of course. We're going to try something different today too, because if you watch post game, Evan and I, where we stand, we're like, oh my gosh, it's all over. But the next couple games, there's a few games on that are winnable for Miami. Can Miami, especially the way they kind of played against Buffalo, can they save their season? Is it salvageable? So we're going to touch on that. But before we do, we're going to get through some things. And of course, it starts off with the Dolphins. Thursday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who chose Miami to win that game, except for Alex of East Century Boys. But that's okay. We know how Alex is. It's all good. And for a little while, Alex probably was sitting in his couch sitting on his couch watching the game, going, "I told you so. I got it. I told them. They didn't believe me. I told them." And then at the end of the game, he's like, "Oh crap, there it is." So Dolphins falling to 0-3 on the season, really digging themselves into a hole. And I mean, you hear all the noise after. Everybody's overanalyzing whether it's people who are for or against Tua, they're overanalyzing the interception. Was he not looking at the player? Was he staring down the receiver? Was he trying to trick the linebacker by looking at someone else while throwing this way? There's all this going down. Does McDaniel keep his job? Does he lose it? Should he keep it? Should he lose it? Who's the next head coach? All this talk. Evan, I know you were, if Alex was here on the season, you were already kind of here. I was in the middle, just like, hey, you know what? I don't expect her. I'm 9-8. I'm picking 9-8. I'm going to go in there with just let's let the season play out. But you say, man, Miami, they're going to lose this one. They're going to lose this one. They're 0-3. Is it? I'm going to ask you this, and we're going to try to keep it even keel here, but it could be hard to do that. But is it as bad as you thought it was going to be? When you look at this team, like you said, man, McDaniel this and two of that and offensive line this, etc. But is it like when you watch this team, it's like, I didn't think it was going to be like this? Or is it like, you know what? There are some ingredients that they could have won these games, but they fell on 3 for this reason.
It's interesting. I've been down on the team as much as I love the team, but it's actually worse than I anticipated in the sense that I didn't think, as much as I was being negative, I didn't expect them to be 0-3. I expected them to be 2-1. Like I'm hard pressed to realize that you want to know what, to go into Indy the way that they did, so unprepared. For a team that has a coach who does put in the hours, but and a player that and a QB that does put in the hours, and blue collar players like Steeler and star players like Hill and Waddle, and Devon Achan, but really for me it's worse than I expected. The only thing that I'm realizing is that the more, and I saw it after Thursday, is that the team is very supportive of their coach. That's one thing I will say, is that they haven't quit on their coach. I just think, unfortunately, I believe the talent, when you don't have a certain amount of talent, that's where coaching comes in. And I believe that the coaching staff, not just McDaniel, I put it on Weaver, I put it on Smith, I put it on Barry, I put it on Austin Clark, I put it on everyone. They have not performed up to the standards of coaching this team in the key moments. So for me right now, the 0-3 is, for me, something that I believe they actually could salvage if they actually change the mindset of how they apply this team. Like if McDaniel is willing to utilize the positives of what he learned during the Bills game and tweaks it to the point where he becomes a little more conservative with the way Tua throws the ball and utilizes Achan and Gordon in a more productive way and relies on his playmakers, I'm okay with it. Because the problem right now with the Dolphins, for me, in this 0-3 start, Bobby, is that we have never seen the team be successful the way he played the game on Thursday. Meaning that the Dolphins have either been going 0 or going 100. We saw last season that the dinking and dunking, I think there's a stat I think Tua was under 0.5 yards of actual getting the ball out. Like a lot of it was behind the line of scrimmage. That leads to long drives. The problem is that the defense isn't going to counteract it by getting off the field quickly and giving you these long extended drives. It doesn't change. They need to find that balance between getting the ball deep and utilizing the short passing game and utilizing the running game. For me, the problem right now with the running game, for example, is the defense is not is not playing well enough to have that power running game consistently. Because we're wasting time if we make one mistake, the defense isn't going to get off the field quickly. So the reason why it was worse is because I didn't expect the defensive line and the linebackers to be that bad, and I didn't think that Tua would be that turnover. That he would be throwing the ball, that would be making those amount of mistakes. Because I would just say, I expected turnovers deep field. I did not expect a guy who's supposed to be one of the more accurate, anticipatory guys in football as a quarterback to be making as poor reads as he has. And then we'll talk about Tua a little bit. But for me, I'm less disappointed because I already had these low expectations. But I'm actually believe that there is a way to. It's one of those things for me that I don't know. There's so many good ingredients there, and it's like I'll put it here. You're baking a cake, Bobby, and you forget to put sugar. You have flour, you have your vanilla extract, you have your eggs, but you don't add that little bit of sugar, and that's what the Dolphins are missing. They're missing an ingredient that the coaching staff is not putting into the game plan. And they're putting too much in the players. They're trusting their players way too much to win this football game, when I believe the coach has to be a little bit more in control of what's going on in the game. That's how I see it. There's a key missing ingredient in their actual foundation structure and preparedness of a football game to play 60 minutes, which you brought up a lot last season. They don't play 60 minutes of football. They play 3/4 of football.
No, absolutely fair. And you're right. And shout out to everyone tuning in right now. Even in the comments there, Cat for Life, Raphael, Ben, Brian, Zach, Daniel, coming in the clutch last night, putting a comment in there. It depends on what you mean by salvage season. I don't think we are drafting in the top 5, but it's hard to conceive a wild card spot. The mother of all rebuilds is coming. That was Daniel last night. And then Cap kind of capping off what you're saying there. This team fought hard. The coach fought hard for his job. The ending was unfair to his fan base. We never find a perfect balance. With that being said, I saw Monday night encourages a nice little run by Miami. I think you're right. And when you say yeah, obviously I did not think they were going to be 0-3 to start the season. I did not say, they're going to win 12 games. They're going to win this. I had them, I think 2-1 at this point. I did not expect, if they were going to be 0-3, I did not expect them to be this type of 0-3. Like the 0-3 we saw from the team we saw in Buffalo that lost, that's the type of loss I expect, right? They fought, and then they gave it up in the end. The last 2 weeks were major disappointments by the Miami Dolphins on ends. And what sucks about this is that what Cap says here, we never find a perfect balance. That's true. You would think that, okay, if like Tua, we're going to touch on him, but turnover prone and fumble, interception, you would think, at least we have the defensive line to make up for that, maybe support your offense. You know the struggles of your defense. Okay, well, we know the flaws of our defense, but hey, at least we got that defensive line. Defensive line hasn't showed up. They haven't helped the secondary at all. The offense can't help the defense because the offense can't put enough points on the board to beat anybody so far. So it's like every time you think you're going to take a step ahead, you take a step back. There's no balance. There's no strength of this team right now. The offense can't score enough points to keep the defense from holding the other team. The defense doesn't do its job. So the offense, it's just 33 points average right now. 33 the last 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of the season, 33 points given up by the defense, 31 points against Buffalo. So it's a consistent thing. And, that kind of rolls into what we're going to touch on, in regards of Tua. Tua this season, again, you could think ever since he was drafted that he's the golden goose, the left arm of God, with that some people were saying. You could think that, and you could think like, hey, he's not Joe Burrow, he's not Tua. I mean, he's not Herbert, he's not this guy. We all know what Tua can be and what he is. We know you're lying if you say he's a bad quarterback. We know he's having a bad season. We get that, but Tua could be good. He could play great. Like I said, my comp on him, and I hate comps. I'm not saying, that he doesn't play like him. I don't mean that when I'm talking about ceiling. When he came out of college, I said, and I stay on it no matter how great he could have, how great he's been, and whatever. I always said, I see a Chad Pennington, accurate as hell, not the strongest arm, gets the ball where it needs to be. But this season, he's playing worse than a Chad Pennington. It seems like he's taken a step back. And is it the arm? Is it the hip injury? Is it concussion? There's a lot of questions. Is it just he's in his own head? Tua's playing not the way we expect him to play, whether you believe in him or not. Tua's always seems to be that guy you could rely upon to say, okay, just get it to where it needs to be. Get it to your playmakers. But you highlight this every post game, maybe for a season and a half. He's not getting it to his playmakers. He's getting it to one guy. He get right to his dump off. I mean, I understand. I have his auto right there, 8x10, Devon Achane. You know how much I love Devon Achane. But that's his safety valve. Ever since he got Devon Achane, who there's some people say, oh, there's a report out there that Miami should trade Devon Achane and get a second round pick. Shut up. To me, is it play scheme as you've brought up, or is it on Tua who he can't get it to any, and when he does get it to those guys, when he does get it to a Tyreek down the field or a Waddle, what do you call those? What is he throwing, Evan? What's the term? When he's throwing to those guys, what type of ball is he throwing? Hospital balls.
Yeah, hospital balls. Exactly. Yeah.
He's not throwing it before. Remember, he used to throw them right on the money, right where they needed to be. The best thrown football. You can go, man, he doesn't have the strongest arm. Oh, he can't stay healthy. But when Tua threw, you knew he was going to get it to the guy. He would get it right in front of him. I tell my son all the time, when you throw the football, you don't throw it behind your receiver. You got to throw it a little ahead. Get in the body or a little ahead. He gets mad at me because when I tell him run, and when he turns around, I threw the ball already. I go, you got to track that football. It's ahead of you. Tua would do that, minus the deep ball because he didn't have the arm, the real strong arm. That's okay. But he used to get it right to where he needed to be. This year, that's not the case. The last season and a half, that's not the case. So, do I see a regression? Again, without knowing what the real situation is with Tua, without having all the back end stories, because we don't know if it's an injury. We don't know if it's something that if he's in his head, we don't know what's going on. So without knowing the back end of that, when I watch Tua, do I see regression? I absolutely see regression in Tua this season. I mean, again, what's his numbers, Evan? It's he's 62 of 89, 575, 5 touchdowns, 4 INTs, 1 fumble. He's a 69.7 completion percentage, a quarterback rating of 87.1, but a QBR per ESPN 35.6. I never thought I'd see Tua with those type of numbers. It's early, but usually the early part of the season is usually the big run. Miami's usually really good during the part of the season. Tua's really good at the first part of the season. Not the case this year. So, in your eyes, has Tua regressed this year?
I don't think Tua has regressed. What I think Tua has done, and I think it talks about the whole team a little bit, and we'll talk about that as more salvageable. Tua's terrified. If you go watch the game again and go watch the highlights, Bobby, there's a number of plays where the offensive line has done their job. And the moment the pocket starts to crumble a little bit, instead of stepping into the pocket, he's running away and following the lineman. So what he does is he'll back up. He sees the lineman coming a little bit back, even though they still got their guy, and he runs away. If you go look at a lot of those throws he threw to Waddle and to Hill on the sideline where he went out of bounds a number of times, that wasn't because he got pressure from the defense. He gets nervous. The moment he doesn't have a clean pocket, he runs away. Tua is afraid to get hurt now. He's afraid to get hurt. He's afraid to make a mistake. And that's what's causing him to make mistakes. Tua used to be, I will just throw it to the spot, I will get it, and my guy will make a play. Right now, he is either getting rid of the ball right away to Achane or putting it to a spot where, like the Waddle touchdown, or he's terrified. Tua's regression is all mental for me. It's not physical. But the mental is affecting the physical because he's thrown the ball deep before. He's thrown the ball outside the numbers before. But now, I believe that Mike Daniel and Tua have basically thought, let's come up with this game plan to keep myself healthy, because we will all admit, and we always joke around, let's see what Quinn Ewers has to say. Let's see. When Tua's not in the lineup, the team doesn't win very often. So who's on the with Mike McDaniel, Tua does give you the best chance to win. The problem is Tua being fully healthy now and have the $50 million contract and the fact that he's the captain of the team on offense. I think the pressure's getting to him. He's trying too hard instead of just playing the game of football, which I wanted to mention during as an overall, and Bobby, I want to get your take on it when it talks to everything. The team does not look like they're having fun. They look like when they make a play, Waddle did the little waddle, Tyreek did the individual dance, but that's their individual thing. There's no team camaraderie on a big play. When's the last time you saw the team on a touchdown, even when they're close in the game, doing one of the fun end zone dances? When's the last time when they made a big play like Jack Jones did or Ashton Davis did in the Buffalo game? Tua doesn't look like he's having fun. The only time he looks like he's having fun is when he throws an interception and he's laughing with Tyrell Bevel. But I don't see camaraderie. And that comes from Tua. Tua is the leader of this team. He's supposed to be the face of the franchise. I believe Tua is who he is. And I believe he's basically bringing out the worst in him because he's trying to put it on his shoulders versus utilizing his teammates. He's trying to do more than he actually can. Right? And I don't think I think his regression has been the play calling in combination with what Tua can do. And I believe there's a lack of chemistry and camaraderie and unification between Tua's skill set and Mike McDaniel's play calling. Because it seems very inconsistent with each other. When they should run, they throw. When they should throw, they run. There seems to be when they should throw deep, they don't do it. There's just a blame game. I think right now Tua's take is not look like he's having fun. The team doesn't look like they're having fun, and that's where I think it is. They need to get back to the fun atmosphere, and I guess that comes with winning. But at the same time, you still need to show that sense that you got this. None of us believe, because it's clear on Tua's face, that when he comes on the field with 3 minutes left, he looks like he's shitting bricks. He looks terrible. So, personally, for me, I don't think he's regressed physically. I think he's regressed mentally. Not physically, mentally.
So let me get through the comments here. 72 undefeated in the house. Great to see you, my man. Jordan Murray, JD Diesel. JD Diesel. Is Bobby still here defending Hawk Tua again? Or is he just a flat out bum? Tua has definitely regressed, Jordan Murray says. Raphael, McDaniel can bench a running back for fumbling, Raheem Mozart, but he can't bench a quarterback for turnovers. Make it make sense. Daniel says, Bobby, he has no tight end or starting right side of offensive line. His starting right side of offensive line has only played 1 of 12 quarters. Let's see here. Jordan says, it's more than likely isn't an injury. He hasn't shown up on the injury list all year. Raphael says, Tua has not regressed. You know what type of player he is. He is a true bridge QB, not a franchise quarterback. 72 undefeated. We need to play Ewers to start to see what we have and hope to lose enough games to draft top 3. Cap says he agrees 1,000% with you. 72 says Tua has always been mediocre. Take first read away. Done. Us thinking we're better than the Jets is always laughable. We're just as bad or worse. So that's 72 undefeated. So something I did say, and what I said earlier, shout out to the JD for watching and tuning in and commenting. I appreciate it. Everyone watching right now, we appreciate you guys. Watching Fids Talk today on FTSN. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We appreciate you. And please continue, whether you agree or disagree, throw your comments in there. Try to get to those. To JD, not really defending to it, but just stated a fact. We've seen the good, we know the bad, but whether you believe he was good or bad, it's great. Like somebody may think, like Daniel saying, hey, I know Daniel will call out what he calls out, but hey, he has no tight end, he has no line. We know how good Tua can be, or we know how bad he can be, like 72 undefeated will say. But there's no doubt if you think Tua is bad, absolutely this is worse than what you've seen. It's regression. And Evan brings up great, but is it the mental part of it? Is it mental regression? Is he too far up in his head? That's the problem. And I will say, because we're talking about fall to 0-3, what's crazy about this football team right now, when you look at this team as a whole, the easy answer would be, hey, if Miami, they're 0-3, if they get, like Daniel said earlier, he doesn't think they'll be as bad as top 5, but let's say they are in the top 5. The easy answer for a lot of people will be like, oh, go get a quarterback. Go get a quarterback. And sure, there might be a quarterback you could draft that might turn around your franchise, who, or just make it just that much better. Maybe there's a guy out there, but there's, you think about it. If you get a top 5 pick, does a quarterback become guaranteed? Is it a guaranteed? Do you go that direction? And we're not, we don't have to go quarterback names, but again, do you see enough in the and we know that Jalen Phillips is probably on his right, where he's on his last leg. He's involved in a trade rumor right now. Bradley Chubb most likely might get moved after this season. Jalen Phillips might not be here next year. Top 5 pick, Ruben Bain out of Miami, edge rusher. He's great. Miami might need somebody to go with Chop, because guess what? As great as we thought this defensive line was going to be, they haven't been anything right now. And then you go, Daniel brings up a great point. Miami's offensive line. Oh my goodness, rocket science. We talk about it every year, but it's true. We can't even, now, again, I'm not going to, Larry Borum protecting the run has done a lot better than Patrick Paul, if you look at the numbers, but it's true. And if you look at the offensive line prospects coming out in this draft, Spencer Fano out of Utah. You got the Magoa from Miami. The other kid out of Utah, Lamu. There's some good, great prospects coming out this year in the offensive line. If you got a top 5 pick, not guaranteed, or not, it shouldn't be, locking in on QB, unless that quarterback is a can't miss prospect. That's what sucks. That's what's crazy about this team. Because there's enough young pieces that you go, okay, we can build on this. It went have to take 3 steps back, but we could build on this. But there's others where we go, okay, what we thought was a strength on this team, like the defensive line, is no longer a strength. Tua has regressed. Well, we might kind of be stuck with it. Always a pleasure, gentlemen. At this point, a high draft pick is more important, and evaluation of players. 72 and a feet, its point with regard to this season. Sea Devil. Zach Wilson was taken number 2 overall. A great point. Great point. Great point. You know what I'm saying? So, if you have the top 5 pick, you're like, we're just going to take quarterback. Might not be the best move. But with this team, especially, you don't have enough talent overall in this team. Every spot kind of played out to automatically go, we got to go quarterback. Get rid of 2. And I'm not defending keeping 2. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. And as I think Raphael, forgive me if I'm missing the name, but somebody said, I said it the other day. He could be good, he could be bad, he's a bridge quarterback. He's Matt Hasselbeck, Pennington. He's that guy you have before you draft your franchise quarterback. That's where he is right now for Tua. So we'll get that as we go along. We'll go, and we get further in the season. I know, I'm already talking to Josh Wingate, coach, about we're already in it. We're already watching, but getting the show going for On the Clock, the Dolphins draft show, just so, got plenty to talk about, especially if the season continues the way it is. We start a little earlier than we want, but it is what it is. We're already doing our homework. It's just about starting it, because then it's just 6 shows I'm doing instead of 5, but that's okay. All right. Touching on Tua's regression, and if he'll be the quarterback going forward, whether it's this season where you put in Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers, and if the team continues to suck, you want to see what you got, or is he the quarterback for next year? But what's big on the topic right now that could have happened right after this game, or it could happen after the Jets, or it could happen after Baltimore, possibly, or after Spain, is Mike McDaniel's job security. We know that what the defense has totally flopped this year. We know what the flaws were, but we know what we flopped with Anthony Weaver. But the head guy is Mike McDaniel. And you could say whatever you want, O-line's not this, that, and this, whatever, Tua is bad, whatever. McDaniel's job, when you see the penalties, when you see the boneheaded moves, the time management, the missed challenges, the play calling, and whatever, and then you just see the lack of accountability from his team, the lack of discipline. That falls on him. So rightfully so, his job is being called into question. And the report before the game was that Ian Rappaport says Mike Daniels' job more likely is safe before the Buffalo game. Fan attendance, I think he said, paraphrasing, is the caveat where that might come a play where Ross sees that the fans are totally out of it. He might make a change earlier than he would want. Pro Football Talk on Mike McDaniel says this: the Dolphins have not quit on Coach Mike McDaniel. They played hard. They gave the Bills their best shot. And if there's ever a victory lurking in the dark cloud of a double-digit defeat, the silver lining from Thursday night is that there's no reason for Dolphins owner Stephen Ross to make any significant moves with this football team. That hardly means McDaniel or Chris Greer is safe for the rest of the season. The schedule softens in the coming weeks. You got the Jets, Panthers at Carolina, Chargers at the Browns, at the Falcons. The Dolphins could and maybe should go 3-2 over the next 5 games. If they go 2-3 or 1-4 or 0-5, the same vibe that hovered over last night's game. This is Pro Football Talk talking about Miami's Buffalo win and McDaniel. The same vibe that hovered over the game of Buffalo before the game of Buffalo will return when the Dolphins host the Ravens on another Thursday night game to start week 9. Let's say the Dolphins are 2-6 or 1-7 or 0-8 when Baltimore comes to town. An ugly loss against the Ravens team that tends to show up in primetime, except for when since they faced a 2-7 Dolphins team on Thursday night in Miami 4 years ago, could be the catalyst for a change. Mike McDaniel against teams that enter a game with a winning record is 3-14. What you're hearing or what you've read about Mike McDaniel's job security, Evan, does it make sense to you not to, like, you hear, okay, we're not going to make a move right now. We're going to let this kind of play out, which Adrian Rainey Diapod said, Sammy had said, but we're going to let this play out. If it gets to the Baltimore game and you let them go, then if they lose and if they're in at that record, does it make sense to keep them all the way through that? And does it make sense to, you've always said, a lot of people, there's a few people that said it. You want to show Ross, what's up? Don't go to the games. Don't buy the merch. Basically, Ian Rappaport said, hey, if Dolphin fans aren't showing up to games, which you've highlighted, that might make a change and that might make a spark in the fan base. Does that all make sense to you? Or should they have made that move no matter what?
I truly believe that as much as I believe Mike McDaniel is not the right coach for the future of this football team, and you just spewed out a lot of stats to justify 3-14 against winning teams, etc. The problem is that Mike McDaniel was invited into Steve Ross's home, was given an extension, and it seems that Stephen Ross is a big fan of Mike McDaniel. The question is a tough decision to make on the basis of, if you fire Mike McDaniel today, people are thinking you're giving up on the year, and the players aren't going to try as hard. I see it as, if you bring in the right person, if you plan it properly, you could turn around the season. But one thing I've been thinking about is that this team has a tendency to go in spurts. They go 2-6, they almost make the playoffs. They're 8-3, they lose 5 in a row. So Mike McDaniel is the kind of coach with the kind of players that he has who could go on a 5-6 game winning streak, and people are going to forget. The problem we have this year is because of how last season ended, because of how the season started, the apathy of the fan base is seeming to creep in. As much as you don't want to admit that fans don't listen to all this, there's a plane flying over Hard Rock that says fire Greer, fire McDaniel. The fact of the matter also is the fact that look at the apathy of the fan base. I was talking to you on pregame show, guys. You're not going to believe this. If I want to go to a Hurricanes game today in Hard Rock Stadium, it would cost me at the minimum $128 Canadian, which is about $110 American, $105 American. I could go to a Miami Dolphins football game on Monday night primetime football for about $12 American. I could walk into Hard Rock Stadium and take my entire family for $60 American. $60. You're talking about Miami Marlins stratosphere, and that has to do with the performance on the field. And as much as the players may have underperformed, there's only one leader. It's Mike McDaniel. The problem is that Mike McDaniel is so well liked by key people like the Rich Eisens and a bunch of the guys and Tom Pelissero. Everyone thinks he's a nice guy. The problem we have, Bobby, is that Mike McDaniel is a PR nightmare. I was listening to ESPN this morning, and they talked about the quote of the week. What was the worst quote of the week? And I'll tell you what, or the worst take of the week. You want to know what the three were? Mike Greenberg saying that Josh Allen's the best quarterback he's ever seen. Okay? Mike, there has been Joe Montana, there has been Tom Brady, he's ever seen. Then there was the more hilarious one. I don't know if you saw it. Do you ever watch First Take, Bobby?
Not anymore.
Did you see Stephen A. Smith's top 5 wrestlers?
I did see that.
His number one wrestler was Goldberg. Goldberg. Okay, that was second. You know what the first one was? In order to win, you have to win. In order to lose, in order to not lose, you have to win. They spent 15 minutes making fun of Mike McDaniel on ESPN radio this morning. My buddy just sent me a message about the press conference yesterday, asking about the kneel down of Josh Allen and Mike McDaniel, how Mike McDaniel looks. People are laughing at Mike McDaniel. That's the problem for me, is that the perception for Stephen Ross usually cares what other people think and the vanity of it. But it seems that he's very loyal to Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer for some reason we just don't know about. And he's not letting the apathy seep into his locker room and seep into the building. So I truly believe, based on the fact that he wasn't fired yesterday, unless there's really a no-show, if he doesn't, I don't think they're waiting to Spain. If they lose against the Jets and he doesn't fire them then, he will not fire him this season.
And I will say,
Russ Morgan's job security falls on a home loss, going 0-4, losing to all 3 division opponents. You don't have the tiebreaker, and he knows the season is over then. But also, he could be, and you never know this, Bob, he could be taking the bye week to set himself up for a potential coaching change. He could be doing his due diligence on this bye week.
Absolutely. And I will say, first off, about the Jets game, and we'll be live pregame Monday Night Football. We'll have Russ Morgan with us. He is our resident Jet fan on the channel.
I'm indifferent. I disagree with T-Devil. They're angry and apocalyptic, but they are apathetic. Because a lot of us, like me and Bobby, I'll tell you this right now, I watch the game with apathy. I want them to win, but I also want them to lose. That's in the middle. I'm so indifferent because I'm so numb from it. I think people are apathetic. A lot of people are apathetic of it, meaning that they're indifferent because of the fact that people like Brett, people like Greg, people like Steve Malloy, people on this network, we are in the middle. We want them to win, but if they lose, we're not going to be angry about it. I'm not angry. I'm not happy if they. I'm okay. I'm happy if they win, but I'm not. But I'm not mad if they lose. I'm not mad. I'm just my expectations are that low.
Yeah. I will say again, Russ Morgan will be live with us on pregame. I don't know how late he'll be. Maybe postgame. Maybe if the Jets win, he'll want to be on there. Who knows? But pregame for sure, he will be on. So we'll have to hear that. That's why he's talking trash in the comments. But I will say, because I saw 72 undefeated. I think somebody else said as well. You look at schedule, you go, okay, these might be winnable games, but I don't think the Jets is a gimme game. That's a cause to pause game. I'm cause to pause on that game. Chargers, cause to pause. That's not some gimme. Cleveland, that's not a gimme. It's maybe one that you might go, oh, that's a winnable game. It's a winnable, but it's not a gimme. Carolina might be a gimme, maybe. But Miami, the gimme was Indianapolis against Daniel Jones. How did Miami do there? The gimme was possibly the Patriots. How did we do there? So I don't think any real game is a gimme right now for the Miami Dolphins. Let me just read back of some of these comments here. Raphael, I have Steve Malloy's back. He's another veteran, but he should have joined the Marines. I know you are, brother. It's all good, my man. I know you could be impartial. Russ Morgan, host of the On Deck Baseball podcast.
But his spelling. I'll be super on.
He's. I think he's voiced it. It's all right. Leave him alone. Rafi, let's see. Yep,
Russ
Hurricanes tonight.
Just a side note, Russ. When the baseball playoffs start, if you want to do a lot of on deck stuff for the baseball playoffs, that's something I'm.
He's been asking, and he's been asking me. I told him I don't know if he's reached out to you, but he's been asking for you to come on the show.
I could do days all day. I could do I know the playoffs. I'm not.
And you could produce it. You could just just produce it for me. But Matt MRAC 3-6 is the best possible record after 9 games with the toughest part of the schedule. After that, 5-12 is a very good possibility. I just saw a comment on Twitter, and I'm going to read that very quick because I thought it was interesting. It's a good one from Benny Ramirez. If Benny's watching, appreciate you throwing this out there. But he says, we normally have late season collapses. So what if, hear me out, this is what he's writing, it's an early season collapse and we bounce back? We're going to touch on that. But appreciate that comment there, Benny. And Scotty, if you're watching, I know you messaged me. If you're watching, I will get to you, sir. I promise I'll write you back. But let me see. The only thing changing Ross's attitude is looking like a fool, and the record being 4-13, 5-12. Maybe not miss it. We have the Hurricanes. There's that. You're absolutely right. Undefeated. The roster is so bad, we might as well be trying to tank this year. Oh, wait. Sorry. Joe Kerr says the roster is so bad, we might as well be trying to tank. This was as a result of a rebuild. And he was saying, after paying all that money, should we be tanking? I think, why are we trying to tank right after paying everyone? I don't think Miami's trying to tank. Or you're saying, why are we saying that? We're not saying trying to tank, but why is Miami? I don't think Miami's trying to tank. I think Miami thought they had their roster as good as they can be. I just think that's now the case. Talking about taking, though, if Miami does think, if we start seeing this, that might be the case for the Dolphins. If what is rumored to go on. There's some rumors out there, and I thought I had the writer on there on the site, but I don't. But I'm going to read what they say. They say Tyreek Hill and Jalen Phillips. Tyreek Hill is a 31-year-old receiver with no guaranteed money on his deal beyond this season and base salary of $10 million. That could be tough for another team to take on. Last season was the first time since 2019 he didn't crack 1,000 yards and was at 959. He has 15 catches for 198 yards and a touchdown this season. A complicating factor is that Hill could potentially face league discipline in the form of suspension if the NFL investigates the recent accusations of domestic violence from his ex-wife that he's made found in violation of personal conduct policy. Graziano wrote this. I'm sorry. There you go. There's a name. Talk about Jalen Phillips. Another 2021 first-round pick playing out his fifth-year option with no deal beyond 2025, which we discussed earlier when we talked about if you had the top 5 pick, is it guaranteed on a quarterback? Well, if you don't have Phillips and you trade Bradley Chubb, you need somebody to pair with Chop Robinson. Is that Reuben Bain maybe? Phillips could be a very interesting target for pass rush needy teams if the Dolphins fall out of contention and decide they aren't going to keep him long-term. He has had trouble staying healthy, but he's healthy right now. And a prorated portion of his $13.251 million salary wouldn't be too erroneous in a league which everyone always looking for edge rushers. Phillips had 15.5 sacks over the first 2 seasons in the NFL before its injuries limited him to 12 games over the last 2 seasons. So, Jalen Phillips, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's not a surprise. But again, I'm pausing that just because of all the off the field issues. I can't see a team making that move. If the NFL is still investigating him and he could face suspension, I can't see a team even like the Chiefs who really I think want him. I can't see the Chiefs doing that. Like, oh, they trade for him and then he gets suspended, unless they got some kind of back end thing. I don't see it. So the Tyreek Hill deal, I don't see happening until he's cleared by the league. If he is cleared by the league, Jalen Phillips, as much as I love Jalen Phillips, he's a great guy, doesn't surprise me because, again, do you do what you did with Christian Wilkins? Do you just let him play out his deal and then just don't pay him? Or do you move him now, especially if the season is lost? You hear about, you could talk about Tyreek, but what's your thoughts into Jalen Phillips topic?
I don't see, and it's so nice. It's welcome, Scotty. It's so interesting that Scotty. I've been so calm and realistic, and so like even keel and positive this morning, and then Scotty shows up 45 minutes into the show. Hope you had a nice.
No, he would have loved it. He would have loved it.
Loved it. He has to watch. He has to rewind. Can we rewind? I actually think you can't. I don't see the team trading. I don't see Chris Greer trading anybody unless because it's sort of counterintuitive because you can't keep Chris Greer in his role and Mike McDaniel in their role in Mike McDaniel's fourth year and get rid of your top players because it's not like they're just having an off year. This is a continuation of frustration of fan base for 3.5 seasons and the need for Stephen Ross to write a statement. If the Dolphins turn it around and end up being at 500 or end up being within only our 5 and 6 by the time the trade deadline comes around, you can't then in turn start trading your best players because the beginning of the season, if you look at the records in the AFC, a 9-8 might do it again, right? So you never know. So I don't see. The only way I see trades happening is if there's changes in the front office and changes at the coaching level, at the head coaching level, because you can't have both. You can't have the two guys who have been trying to win in the best window we've had in over a decade, in over a quarter of a century, and then trade your best players. I just don't see it. I just can't see that happening. Like I also don't think there will be an appetite for the fans. The fans can say, "Oh, we've all said that trade Tyreek Hill." The fact of the matter is, as you've seen this year, Bobby, the last 2 games, Tyreek Hill's had 2 pretty decent games, and we don't have a tight end to speak of, and we don't have any. Waddle only gets involved deep in the game, and Nick Westbrook, your third wide receiver, isn't being utilized at all. Which we all talked about the third wide receiver, how important it is to have a third wide receiver, and the number one pick we actually picked in the offseason at the beginning was Nick Westbrook, and we're not using him. Malik's being more used out of the backfield as a running option and as a special teamer than he is actually being used as a fourth wide receiver. So for me, I don't foresee trades. The only way I foresee a trade, even if Bradley Chubb, who doesn't have a contract, who took a pay cut, is if they've given up on the season. But if you're giving up on the season, why are you leaving Mike McDaniel and Christopher in their roles? It's counterintuitive to me. You can't trade your best players with the current front office and allow these guys to be the guys who are making changes for the good of this team by adding players, but then give them the right. And I don't think Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer have earned the right to lose these players and trade them away and still have their jobs to speak of. Because if they get traded, it means they haven't performed well this season. So if they haven't performed well this season, why should they be there with those players being traded? I think one has to go. If you're making trades, there's a plan to get rid of everybody. If you don't make the trades, then they're not going anywhere.
Scotty with the comment: interim Marvin Allen is interim GM, Joe Bebel is interim head coach, Clark interim DC. So I will say the one thing, with Greer, if he's still on the quote unquote roster or the staff, if Miami starts trading everybody, they fire McDaniel. I don't see him holding on to that role that much longer. If that goes down, I could see them keeping that job, but keeping a job with Miami. We know, like a senior advisor, whatever you want to call it, and then someone like a Marvin Allen getting promoted, or maybe if we go after a veteran head coach, the veteran head coach going after their GM. Adrian of the Rainy Day Podcast, someone is definitely getting traded at the deadline, if not sooner. Guys, check out the Rainy Day Podcast if you love the Dolphins, Hurricanes, wrestling. He will be live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time talking about WrestlePalooza. I think I got that right. And I'll be live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
Just defend Anthony Weaver. I'm not happy with how he's performed.
Sure.
I just want to compare year over year. Last year, he had a dog in the backfield. Even if Javon Holland didn't do a great job, and Kader Kohou struggled, you still had Jalen Ramsey. Okay, you had Calais Campbell. The biggest disappointment for me on defense actually is Zach Sealer, because Zach Sealer got his money. I love Zach Sealer. He's my favorite defensive player, but he made a mistake on Thursday. He doesn't look like he's having fun. He's not leading the defensive line. And you know who was also a big loss? There's no Calais Campbell next to him. He has Kenneth Grant. He has injury, Matthew Judon, who's a much step slower. A returning Bradley Chubb, who's played well, but hasn't been, is returning from an injury. Jalen Phillips is struggling. Jordan Phillips is a rookie. Zeke Biggers is not in the lineup. Chop Robinson does not have a good year. You can't just put that on the coach. He has been bad in terms of his scheme and not using Willie Gay properly and relying a lot on Terrell Dobson the first two games, even though Terrell Dobson had a good game against the Bills. The frustration I have right now is that the players are also not going up to par. They're struggling, and they're missing two dogs on the defense. They're missing Jalen Ramsey, and they're missing Calais Campbell. There is a bit of a lack of leadership, and I believe that by the way, Bobby, I don't know if you disagree or not. The leaders of the offense and the defense right now, sort of, are Aaron Brewer, Tua Tagovailoa, Zach Sealer, and maybe Minka Fitzpatrick. Maybe Jordan Brooks a little bit. Those guys, none of those guys like the spotlight. None of them like to be in the spotlight. It's very different when you have a Man of the Year candidate and winner in Calais Campbell on your D-line. It's very different when you have Teron Armstead on your D-line, a Pro Bowl, All-Pro, future Hall of Famer. When you have Jalen Ramsey, a multiple All-Pro, future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner. You lose those leadership, those veterans who claim not to want to have played for Mike McDaniel. That changes your defense. Now, has he coached poorly? Yes. But also, he is missing two dogs on the defense. And you're expecting Zach Sealer, Jordan Brooks, and Minka to make up for that with a very porous personnel defense. So, yes, but they did make stops. I'll put it to you this way. They were awful at the beginning of the game, but they made enough stops in the Bills game to give Tua the chance to come back and win the football game. So as much as he's been as poor as Anthony Weaver has been, the personnel of the players, Jordan Brooks, Zach Sealer, the two captains, have not performed well so far this season. And Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb have not been the all-get-all of what we think. So I believe the loss of Calais Campbell, I don't believe the defense would be as poor if Calais Campbell was on that deal. I think there'd be a lot more pride on that defense. I just don't think Zach Sealer is captain. Zach Sealer is a quiet captain. Tua Tagovailoa, a quiet captain. You don't have last year when people were talking about who stood up in the locker room and Bobby, you know this. The people who stood up in the locker room when things were not going well to lift people up were Teron Armstead and Calais Campbell. They're not there anymore. They don't have that kind of leadership. They don't have those dogs anymore on this football team. The closest dog you have is Tyreek Hill, and unfortunately, because of his personal issues and his attitude, is not a captain. So you don't have I don't think they have true leadership on this football team. I don't think anyone there is the one guy you go to and say, I got this. You don't have that Calais Campbell. You don't have that Teron Armstead anymore. We had that with Dan Marino. We had that with Zach Thomas. We had that with Jason Taylor and Surtain and all that. Even when we were there, you knew Ricky Williams was gonna be a star. You don't have that anymore. You just don't have it.
So let me get to the comments. Just people reacting, and Rafael, who has Mike McDaniel developed? 0. There's been regression. I'll tell you, he has. I don't know if he's developed, but I know he's unlocked maybe to his confidence, if you want to say that.
Kenneth Grant, by the way, let me back that up, Daniel. I like Kenneth Grant. I'm saying the defense has been poor because of coaching, but also because they're an inexperienced defense. They're a very inexperienced, lack of leadership type of defense, and you're expecting Zach Sealer to do everything. Yes, 33.23 points a game, 100%. The defense has been awful. But at the end, in the fourth quarter, they are not the reason why you lost this football game. They did enough in the fourth quarter, had 21 points on the board. It was a tie game. Zach Sealer made a mistake. He shouldn't have been on special teams to begin with. They were on our side of the field after that, and the offense couldn't come back and win the football game. The defense made enough stops in the fourth quarter to win that football game. Anthony Weaver has been piss poor. Don't get that wrong. But honestly, the defense is not capable of doing what we expect it to do because they don't have the personnel to do it. The offense has the personnel to do it, and they're not doing it. The defense played over their heads last year, and they don't have the personnel, and now they're not doing it.
So, let's get into, with all of that, is this season salvageable? Can Miami get back to a point where we could say, hey, are you telling me there's a chance? And we'll go there. So we know, and first off, shout out to everyone watching and commenting. We appreciate you guys tuning in and commenting, participating. We see you, we hear you, we appreciate you. Keep doing it, whether you agree or disagree. We want to hear from you. Watching Fins Talk today here on FTSN. Shout out to the Caneswear, our sponsor Caneswear, of course, the Caneswear podcast. If you guys love the Hurricanes, we're having an awesome season so far, and big game today. You love the Dolphins, the Marlins, the Heat, anything Miami, go to caneswear.com. Or if you're in South Florida, go to Caneswear, the Miami Fanwear at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. Brett and the crew down there, they're awesome people. They got an awesome shop. The Florida Panthers, again, if you're a Panthers fan, and that's coming. They had Kachuk there, they had Bravowski. I think they're having Bravowski come up there recently. So go check out caneswear.com. You got autos, you got jerseys, you got merch, you got everything there. They got a great clearance section too. Check them out. And if you love the Miami Hurricanes, go check out the Caneswear podcast on Wednesday nights at 9:30 Eastern time. I mean, and they go long too. But anyway, Dolphins so far this season, right now, of course, 0-3. 33-8 loss to Indianapolis, 33-27 to New England, 31-21 loss to Buffalo. So that they're 0-3 on the year. Now they got the New York Football Jets, 7:15 Eastern time, ESPN, Monday Night Football. I think they're wearing their rivalry uniforms, right? So we will be live pregame. I might be doing it from the car, maybe. But Jets, Russ Morgan will be on with us. So the New York Jets right now on the season, I want to pull that up. The last two games or three games, there are two games. They're 0-2. They lost 34-32 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, lost 30-10 against the Buffalo Bills. They take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow. This should be, in all sense of purposes, what we brought up earlier, what you would call a game where Miami should win, right? You look at it, you go, but AFC East rival. They put up a fight against, I just lost it. They show fight. This is not a gimme game. This is a cause to pause game. But this is a game Miami should win, right? Justin Fields, they're 0-2. Do you, this should be a game, and Miami could end up 1-3 to kind of start that way up and start moving on up. But it is a game that gives me cause to pause. But this is a game that could start the process of possibly salvaging your season, or at least getting back to that quote unquote 500. Very quickly, what are your quick thoughts on that Jets game, Monday Night Football?
The last time I saw Justin Fields against the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel run team, he ran all over us. Mobile quarterbacks do not do the Dolphins any favors. If the season salvage, the game, anything can happen. We could win, but it has to be a revised game plan. Until we actually put a W on the board, you have to take as much of the game away from Tua. Tua needs to just be a distributor. You're Achan, you're Ollie, you're Tyreek, you're Jalen. They win the game for us. You cannot put the ball in his hands. If he puts the ball in his hands, he's going to crap his pants because he's too nervous. He's trying to win too much. He's trying to do it. He's trying too hard. The defense with that running style of Justin Fields and Breece Hall makes me a little bit nervous. And it's prime time. So this for me is no coin flip. This is for me, until they prove me wrong, I don't see the Miami Dolphins winning this just because I think they are too tight. They are trying so hard to win, and there's such a lack of fandom. And you're asking about, like I just said, they get to display their rival jersey, which I'm sure there'll be a lot in the field, but there's going to be a lot of Jets fans there. And like I told you, Bobby, it's Monday Night Football, and you and I could walk into that game, you and me, including the fees, for under $30 American. $30 US. Bobby, your meal, your drink in the Miami Dolphins cup. Do I have it? Yeah. You see this cup, guys? You see this cup? This cup, you can bring it to the stadium. It costs more than $12. So you're telling me that the drink that I'm going to drink at the stadium is going to cost me more than my admission to the stadium? That's ridiculous. So no one truly, people like that don't think the Dolphins are going to win.
So I want to say this before I forget it, because Raphael says that Justin Fields is out with a concussion, won't be going against the Bucs. But again, you go, oh, Justin Fields versus the Dolphins. Come on, Miami, you should win this game. Agent says Dolphins better not lose to the Jets. But then you think about Sauce Gardner, and you think about the receivers, and you think about, again, you look at their quarterbacks. Miami so far has struggled against quarterbacks who can be athletic, could extend the plays, can run out of the pocket. Justin Fields is that. Oh, well, if next week Justin Fields doesn't play against Monday Night Football, oh, now we have a better chance. No, we don't. We got Tyrod Taylor. How's Tyrod Taylor done against the Dolphins? Another guy who could extend plays, a veteran, a smart veteran, a guy you should have probably signed as your backup. So those are things that could bite you. Then you go to, of course, the Carolina Panthers game. That's another game where that's a legitimate game where you might look at it and you go, hey, man, there you go. There's the first win. We got it. But, and again, you look at Bryce Young, and I mean, very the numbers comparable to Tua. Loss against Jags, loss against Arizona. They're 0-2. So.
Can I ask you a question? I'd like you to respond to this take. Because I appreciate Scotty's takes and all this, but I think this is kind of, I know he has it out for Weaver, but why would Weaver ever want to do this to himself? Read this comment and tell me. I would like
until Weaver is replaced, we don't stand a chance to win any games this season. I actually feel that Weaver is purposely being historically bad to try to get McDaniel fired so he could be a head coach. I don't know. I don't think Scotty even believes that. But
if he does that,
Garrett Wilson, thank you, Raphael.
He's never going to get a head coaching job. Why would he want to be poor? Like, he's not guaranteed that job.
Well, look, let's takes like that. I don't know. First of all, you would have to go to your defense and go, "Hey guys, suck."
And by the way, coaches never want to lose. GMs want to lose. Owners want to lose. Coaches never truly want to lose.
Well, the Jets scoring 30 points, I wouldn't doubt it just because the Dolphins have given up, 32.5, 33 points a game, 32.5 because they gave 31.
Well,
so
they'll have the Jets. The Jets have given up. The Jets defense has given up over 30 points a game every game this season.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be some blow. If Miami wins, it's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be, and again, point shaving, maybe.
Scotty, when he turned on Weaver? I've never heard him go after Weaver like this.
Since last year, he's been off on Weaver, I think, if I remember.
But let me ask you something. He had a top 10 defense. We were hard on Weaver. Fangio had a top 5 defense. We were hard on Fangio. We're never happy with our DCs. But we're okay with McDaniel. Our 2 last DCs were in the top 10 in defense. Our offense fully regressed the last 2 seasons, but we're higher on McDaniel than we are on our DCs.
So stick to the Carolina game now. Carolina.
Yeah, what about them?
Okay, you think that's an easier? You think Miami? That's a game.
Yeah, they'll win that game.
That's a winnable game, right? So let's say, okay, the Jets, man. Okay, Scotty says there's no winning, with that defense. You're saying that's not a win right now. Monday Night Football. I'm on the side of that as well. I really do not feel good about that game whatsoever in regards to a win. I don't see that as an easy win. Carolina, I feel really good about. Carolina game, I feel really, really good about right now. But the Jets game, I don't. Jets game, I'm like this. Same as I did against Buffalo. Same thing I did any of the other games. I feel like this about the Jets. Carolina, I'm like, there's our first win. That should be the first win. Or I feel confident that's the first win. Jets, I don't feel as confident right now. Then you got the Chargers. the Chargers. If you lose it, if you're 0-4, 1-4, you're more than likely probably going to be 1-5 at that point.
That's why if they're not 2-3 by the time they get to the Chargers and the chance to go 500, if they're 1-4,
exactly, they
5,
should be.
Tua will crap his pants because the narrative the entire week is going to be Herbert Tua. It will never go away. It will never go away.
I don't think that should be even a conversation anymore.
But
I think people should just let that go and move on.
Won't. Tua won't.
I know.
You know, Tua can say he doesn't listen to anybody. It's all in his head. All up here. It's not here anymore. It's up here.
Again, that's why. Again, if Miami wants to salvage the season, and by salvage I mean get the 500, so you kind of get back on the track of it, and possibly say we have a shot to turn this around, they have to beat the Jets. Because if you beat the Jets, which is not a guarantee, do not think it's a guarantee. And I hate saying it because I hate the Jets more than any team. And I love Russ, man. But Russ knows, just like he hates the Dolphins, I hate the freaking Jets. But just because I hate them with a passion, cannot sleep on the Jets. It's not a guarantee to win. So if you want to salvage your season, it starts with the New York Jets. You have to beat the Jets. You beat the Jets. You beat Carolina. You're 2-3 with a chance to go 500. Possibly now you're riding on a hot streak. Now you have a shot to possibly, now you got your backs up. You're ready to get that 500. Then you might have a chance to beat the Chargers because your backs are against the wall. You're trying to get to 500. But if you're going into that game 1-4, God forbid 0-5, you're going to be 0-6. You got Cleveland. Who knows who's Cleveland's quarterback at that point in time? Their defense is no joke. I think so. I forgot. I know who brought it up earlier, but Myles Garrett, with that offensive line, Miami might have 3 more sacks. That might be a scary game for Tua. That's a game that, I guess on paper Miami should win. But that's another game that gives me cause to pause. And Atlanta. All the young talent of Atlanta. And, let's say if Joe Flacco is playing Cleveland, Miami can have a shot. Even though Joe Flacco is playing, I think, right? Joe Flacco's the quarterback in Cleveland, right? Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. If Joe Flacco is starting, even though he's given us trouble, I think that's Miami's best chance to possibly play decent defense enough for Miami to score points and possibly win that game. But if it is a Dylan Gabriel, if it is a Shedeur Sanders or whatever, I'm talking a guy who could be athletic, move around, whatever, that might give Miami a little bit of issues. But that defense for Cleveland, I never sleep on. Atlanta, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Penix, Drake London, that's a young team. And you go, okay, that's a winnable game. Yeah, it's a winnable game. But that's not a gimme. Right now, the only gimme, and I'm scared to say that, is Carolina. And then, of course, you got Baltimore and Buffalo right after that. So if Miami wants to salvage this season, beat the Jets, beat Carolina.
They have to win the next 3 games in order to salvage.
No. If you beat the Jets, you beat Carolina, and let's just say, okay, you're 2-3 at that point. Let's say you go 2-4. Then let's say for some whatever, let's just say you beat Cleveland and Atlanta, which again on paper, that would be a team where you go, oh, we should win that. 2-3, 2-4, 3-4. Right? Am I saying that right? 3, 2, 4. Because then you got ball. If you beat Cleveland and Atlanta, that gives you an opportunity to possibly, with those next 2 games, give and take. But if you lose, and you lose against the Jets, you beat Carolina, and then you lose to the Chargers, though it doesn't matter what you do in Cleveland, Atlanta, you're more than likely to lose against Baltimore and Buffalo. You have no shot.
That's what I'm saying. If they don't get to 500 right away, you can call the season over because you're not going to win. You're not going on a 3-game winning streak against Baltimore, Buffalo, and Washington. You're not. So right away, if you think about it,
that's awesome.
If you think about it. Even if you win those 2 games, the Jets and the Jets and Carolina, and then you lose, and you end up 2-4. Then you have the next 3. There's not enough gateways. The number of teams that they're playing, and then it gets cold, and they're going to these cold games in Pittsburgh, and it's not going to happen. So for me, they have to get back. They need to go on a streak. They're not going
Look at that, Daniel and Scott. You guys probably met each other. You don't even know it.
This is not Brian Flores 1-7. They're going to finish 9-8. This team goes 2-5. They're not catching up.
I chose this. My prediction was 9-8 on this football team. That's rich right now. Yeah. There's no, and like you said, mental toughness is not with this football team. It's not a 9-8 football team right now.
7 at the most.
Right now, yes. The way this team plays, it's very hard pressed. I took away a win. You got to take 2 wins now because it's take away 2. But 7 or whatever. It's hard pressed to say 7 wins with this team. The way that if they play like they did in Buffalo, yeah, you might see a couple. You'll see a couple wins where they're supposed to be, but. Do they play down to their talent? They played up to Buffalo, but they played down to India. Do they play down to their guys? But we'll see. We'll see. It's crazy. Scotty, Daniel, so you guys grew up not too far from, first of all, I love that you hate the Jets. It's great that you live so close to the Meadowlands, yet you still hated the Jets. Was your family Jet fans, or did you guys immigrate to New York or the Meadowlands in that area, Jersey, whatever, from Florida? How are you guys Dolphin fans if you live so close to the Meadowlands? I'd love to know that. If you could throw that before we wrap up, I'd love to know. I think that's so cool and interesting to me. But I appreciate you guys there in the comments as always. Let me throw some of these guys out here as we get close to the wrap up.
So Daniel, are you a Flyers fan or a Devils fan? It's always that fight with people in Jersey. Are you a Devils fan or are you a Flyers
fan? Let me see. According to for responding to Scotty's comment, MRAC says Reaver sabotaging the defense would be great. Would be a great opposite of trying to be a head coach. Joe Kerr, Reaver had to carry us last year because Tua hurt himself and McDaniel can't call a game with a backup quarterback. Scotty says, I never agreed with the Reaver hiring. This was the response to your question or to your thing. Yeah. Our defense ranking last year was total BS. I said it all last year.
How does a ranking, let's pick and choose. When do stats matter?
Well, my thing is it was, just to kind of carry that over because you bring up Fangio, and I was thinking Fangio should never get all the thing. And obviously he was right on Cam Smith. He was right on Holland, and because we saw what fell off.
Kick rocks.
Was it Reaver riding on the coattails of what Fangio had, the foundation Fangio built, and it totally fell apart now? Maybe. Let's see. Raphael says Herbert is my hot take for MVP due to the new head coach. Let's see here. Nick Needham is a free agent. Why does Miami not bring him back? Shaking my head. Chris Greer. Oh, there you go. Let me see here. I played quarterback growing up, and Marino was my idol, so I was always a Finn fan. That's cool, Scotty. Awesome, man. That's really cool. I was just showing my son some Marino film highlights and film, and just showing him like, look at this. Look, and of course he's like, oh my gosh, he got hurt. He got hit? How did he get hurt? He goes, he used to get hurt all the time, but he just keep playing. That was different.
I never say a top 5 defense. I said his defense was ranked. I didn't say he has. His defense ended up being ranked in the top 10.
You said top 10, and you said,
and I said Vic Fangio
was top 5.
It was top 5.
I know.
I never. By the way, I'm not proponents of these guys to lead us. I'm just saying we need to realize in the end, a defensive coordinator and a coordinator are one thing. The head coach is the ultimate responsible party.
There you go.
So basically, no matter what, even if Weaver's in charge of the defense, Weaver has a boss. His boss is Mike McDaniel. So no matter what, the defense falls on Mike McDaniel as much as it falls on Weaver.
Yeah, and I see here, Daniel responds. He goes, so Scotty was a quarterback growing up, and Dan Marino was his idol and his favorite quarterback. So he became a Dolphins fan with Marino. That's awesome. Daniel says he became a Dolphins fan Christmas night day, 1971. Grew up in a family of New York Giants fans. Yes, he's a Devils fan, but he roots for the Yankees. So there you go. 72 undefeated. Injuries happened, then we screwed up on the trading. Again, I know you brought up Bradley Chubb earlier. I will say, and more than likely Bradley Chubb will get moved, and Bradley Chubb was very honest, and he has been. But he said, even though I said he's been the most consistent player on our defense, 3 weeks, 3 sacks, he even said, Even though I have 3 sacks on the first 3 weeks, I have not been playing my best football. I love to hear that because that's being honest. And you know what? I'm proud to have him on the team. More than likely he's going to get moved, and he probably get moved. And because of his play, we'll get a better pick than we should, right? Which is great. But at least he's honest. At least he's holding himself accountable. Because I don't see that with the rest of the team.
There's only 2 players on the entire football team who have earned their actual stripes in the first 2 games. There's only 2 players who have played well when they've been told to play. You know who they are? Devon Achane and Ollie Gordon. Everyone else has been meh.
Yeah.
You not agree? If not, Achane and Gordon are the only 2 players who look like players we want to grow with. Even Waddle.
What are you talking about? Young pieces. Young pieces.
Yeah, Waddle played daily, but Waddle was only utilized in very rare situations last game.
Fair point.
Weird.
Fair point, Michael.
Yeah.
I think if the Dolphins start 0-5, this is Raphael. If the Dolphins start 0-5 or 1-4, the fire button will be pressed multiple times. Can I pet that dog? Can I pet that dog? That's funny. I see. I even knew what you were doing as soon as I saw it. Malik Washington. Yeah, no, Malik Washington. That's a good one.
Yeah, he had 1 good return. The problem is he's not being utilized well enough.
But no, I don't think he's only. But he's only. But you can see what he could be.
The young pieces are there. The problem is that the so-called veterans of this team are not.
Yeah.
Are not.
I know. No. So in regards of young pieces, Devon Achane, Ollie Gordon, like again, Ollie Gordon is for as little as he's been used. When he is used, you see the talent there, and I freaking love Ollie freaking Gordon. But and then Malik Washington, I love Malik Washington. He's another guy that he's a Devon Achane type of player where you could do anything with him, and he makes a play. That's a type of guy that you could build upon. That when you trade Tyreek, not saying he's going to be Tyreek, not going to say he's going to be at the level of Tyreek, but he's a guy that you could just fit in there, and he probably gives you the same production right now, maybe a little better than what you would get out of Tyreek.
I guarantee I didn't see any comments of like last week after the screw up with special teams with the return. Are people not mad at Greg Ackerman for putting Zach Sealer on the line to block a punt? They should have been. Mike McDaniel should have been saying to Greg Ackerman, "Do not touch the punter. We can go back down the field at the tie game." That's what our special teams has been decent this year until we shoot ourselves in the foot. They've given up. They've taken bad penalties on punts. Judon has done it. Sealer has done it, and they give up a return. They've given up some serious points. They've given up 3 scores as a result, Bobby. We've had 3 scores on us as a result of special teams errors.
Yeah. I mean,
that's 21 points.
Yeah. Don't you wish you still had
Danny Crossman?
Yeah. I mean, man, those were the days, man. Yeah, Danny Crossman.
And by the way, hey, Riley Patterson's been decent. He's not missing anything.
And I will give Scotty first off, Daniel and Scotty, I will say this, for, even though they haven't been on the screen. Let me just say this for a second. Scotty and Daniel, I want to give them a shout out. Raphael too, of course, 72. You guys, for everyone who's been around for as much long as they have with us. And I appreciate you guys. But like Scotty and Daniel, they watch the draft show, they comment. So I appreciate them. They're like a part of this channel, even though they're never on the air in the comments. So I will give Scotty the credit though. Of course, he was about Reber, but he was about Tyler Warren as well. When you watch that Indianapolis game, Scotty, you had to, you probably felt bad because you felt worse because Dolphins lost, but you probably felt good when you see Tyler Warren doing what he's doing. You see Kenneth Grant and that's not on Kenneth Grant because he's a rookie. I'm not going to hate on him. We'll see. I think he could be good, great, whatever. You knew I wanted to corner Jedi Barron and what I was saying, but you were on Tyler Warren. But when you watch that, I thought about it. I was like, damn, dude, imagine if Tyler Warren was on this offense, but yeah, Tyler Warren is going to be special.
Tyler Warren was on this offense.
I know.
He would still check it down to Achane.
No, that's Tua.
But don't you love how McDaniel threw on the bus? He goes, I would have preferred him throwing it into the flat. By the way, run skill on that play didn't even attempt to make a block. If you go rewatch that play, the lineman literally walked by Brunskill, and Brunskill goes, I don't feel like blocking you today.
That's the difference. But anyway, guys, we're at an hour and 20. I got a couple things to do before I'm on again today. I will be on at 5 p.m. Eastern time with Josh Kimmel previewing ESPN WWE WrestlePalooza today.
The dumbest PLE name.
Well, I think that's from ECW, if I remember. That was an ECW pay-per-view name.
Palooza?
It's a Palooza.
I
Sorry.
feel like I'm taking my kids to like a carnival palooza.
Yeah.
What is this?
But Evan and I will be back on together, of course, for the Miami with Sammy, who just popped in. Sammy of Fins TV. If you love the Dolphins, no matter what, go check out Fins TV.
Well, this is one of my calmest episodes in years.
It has. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you.
And
You even said it before because I was like,
I stayed to the topic.
Yeah, you're like, I'm staying on topic, bro. We're good. Let's ride. That's good.
Does Jimmy Kimmel make it back to TV? No. He's done.
For the time being. We won't go there though. Anyway, stay on topic with the Dolphins. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Evan and I will be back for the Dolphins pregame show with Finn Sammy on Monday night to talk about the Dolphins Monday night football game.
I might be back next Saturday.
Maybe next Saturday. Yes, absolutely. That's true. You maybe. But anyway, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you guys. I know it's hard. If you like wrestling, join me later today. But until then, I appreciate you all tuning in. That's FinStanza. I'm Bobby Finstalk. Like and subscribe. What?
Go Canes.
Go. That's right. Go Canes. Hurricanes today. That's I'm watching that. That'll be a great game. The Gators for the Hurricanes. But anyway,
defense is no joke. Gators defense is no joke.
No, they're not. They're not. But guys, I know it's hard, but you know how it is. Like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. But always, no matter what, win, lose, or draw, fins up. See you guys later.